If you have to oppose this line, you have to oppose Charimandar also. I did not take that question. We have to evaluate people in a proper way.
Yeah.
What is the positive contribution and negative contribution? So his positive contribution is a breakthrough. For CPI, CPM revisionism is a breakthrough. So naturally, we have to accept that thing, uphold that thing. At the same time, we have to develop a correct line.
Yeah.
So what can do? So by that time, many people are coming to my place, and I was started discussing with them. And so some people were criticizing me. Why do you ask this question? You are all a supporter. I said that I may be a supporter. Tomorrow I may become an activist. But what is the line? It should be discussed.
Yeah.
And then only we can work for the party. What about the mass movements? What about, because lakhs of students were coming to the movement at that time.
Yeah, that
Lakhs of youths
yeah.
were coming. And workers were coming in Durgapur and other places. And Adivasis and others were revolting and coming, supporting the national movement. So all these things are very positive things. If all these things are mobilized, we can actually demolish CPM. So if we could get that idea, by the time I started getting the whole picture. So all the materials, newspapers, then publications, radical publications, everything was coming. And the police also had some smell of this thing, but they had no proof to, I was not involved in any action. So,
Yeah.
but so I was active. CPM people must have definitely given them information about me to the police also. Anyway, the police did not harass me, but I was very active. And then the Bangladesh question came. So Bangladesh question came. This actually we were very near to border.
Yeah.
And Mukti Bahinis were formed.
That is
And the line taken by Charmidar at that time was very correct. He opposed the Chinese line. Chinese line was that any bifurcation of Pakistan is wrong. So any revolt against Pakistan is wrong. And he supported, China supported the Pakistan government.
Yeah.
But Charimandar said, Sonar Bangla. So we will work for the liberation of Bengal and we support for the people's liberation struggle in Bangladesh. That is a positive thing. So I said we should do, because I got some opportunity, I should do something. And I got the contacts with the Mukti Bahini people, some, and tried and got the contact. So they want, I said, what we can do? We want material and medicines and other things, some food items and other things. And then we started collecting money. And we got huge amounts because everybody was supporting the this thing. So and we collected a lot of material and I went to the general manager. I said, we want to take some materials to help the people in East Bengal. Are you going to help them? Mukti Bahini? No, I am going to give the people only. Okay, I know what are you doing, but anyway I am supporting it. You go. He said, because every Bengali was inspired by that thing, by what is happening. So I took the materials with 2-3 times, and so that way we were very much involved in that thing. And in that discussion about the Engineers Association also, I openly advocated for this thing. And there should be liberation of East Bengal and not this thing. And it will be helpful for the liberation of India also. I was openly taking that position. And so that way there was a good struggle. And then the Bangladesh was formed, but things happened in a different way. And so in this situation, without a communist party, proper communist party, even if there is a liberation struggle, you cannot lead it to a positive line. So what if it is not a positive line, what will happen? There will be negative result. Bangladesh also, the not pro-people forces came to power. Actually, the forces who came to power were representing the big capitalist interests, big landlord interests. So we had to work more for building the party. And by the time CPI-ML was facing a lot of problems.
Yeah, that is.
And in 71, I will speed up that thing. In 71, the first split took place.
Yeah.
We got the information that Satyanarayan Singh and others, a good number of the, out of the 21 members Central Committee, Comrade Appu and others was all no more by the time. And about a good number, about 8-9 Central Committee comrades split away and formed PCC CPM.
Yeah. Right.
So it's a very serious question. And then the question about the China's chairman, our chairman,
Yeah.
Chinese path, our path, that question came up.
Yeah.
So we will openly, I was saying that it's a wrong line and you cannot copy this thing. It is not Marxism. Marxism calls for concrete analysis of the concrete situation in a changing society. You have to develop your theory and practice accordingly. So what we are doing is a mistake. If we are copying the Chinese line, it's wrong. But at the same time, what Satyanarayan Singh and others, who are also implementing annihilation line up to this time, they are doing, what they are doing is also wrong because they have got no new line to put forward.
Yeah.
They are just talking about mass line only, but they have got no new line to put forward. No new analysis they are putting forward. The same thing with T. Nagareddy and others. All these people in the Andhra Pradesh also, T. Nagareddy line, Chandrapula Reddy line were there, and all these people were putting forward mass line, and they are criticizing, critical of Chariminda, critical of CPML formation. But what alternative you have got?
Yeah.
What is your analysis of the concrete situation in India? And in the present concrete situation, what should be our line?
Yeah.
And the question of imperialism.
Yeah.
What is taking place in the imperialist camp?
Yeah.
After the Second World War, what is happening in the imperialist camp? All these questions were there. So because I was discussing with some revolutionary intellectuals by that time. So all these ideas were coming up. So I was sharing these ideas.
Yeah.
So I was becoming impatient to enter into the field. At that time, 1972, July 28, when he was arrested, I became very much disturbed. And within 1 week, he was not given proper treatment and he died in the Calcutta police station. And Charminder became a martyr. Then I cannot continue for one more day. So I resigned. I resigned the job. And resigned the job, I just told my wife, I am resigning the job. She is also interested for me to come to Kerala, to take some job in Kerala and all. So I told her that I am coming to Kerala. I will try to get a job in Kerala. And but she was knowing that I am doing all these things and other things. She was because she is an educated girl, so can understand. But she was not openly opposing. But she was a critical of I not giving much time to her. But so I told the family and I resigned the job and I sent all the materials, whatever the books and other things to Kerala. And then I stayed a few days in Calcutta. So I had discussion with a lot of people. Ashok Mitra. Ashok Mitra but left Congress by that time. Dr. Ashok Mitra, finance minister of Bengal later. So he was very critical of CPM also at that time. And he was writing in Economic and Political Weekly. And he was sympathetic to ML movement, national movement. So I went and had a long discussion with him. He said, yes, a radical movement is required, but you have to have a proper line. Your line is not correct. So I cannot give a line. So the communist revolution should develop a correct line. So I went to Mrinal Sen, film director. So his films were there. And he talked about taking a film about Kayyur. And so we had a good discussion. There should be a proper cultural movement. Mao said cultural revolution, but cultural revolution was actually taken over by the left extremists. So it failed to arouse the people and take a correct line. So it is very so cultural movement should be developed that way. Then the Frontier publication, Samarsan was the editor. So Samarsan I had met earlier also. I had gone to Calcutta 2-3 times and met with him, and he was also very critical of CPML line. But he was with the CPML, supporting CPML. But there is an excellent movement. And Frontier was doing a good work that way.
Yeah,
And he was at the same time they were critical of the annihilation line and the left extremist line. Armed struggle was only for one struggle. They were critical. So I stayed 2 weeks and I had a good discussion with all these people, and including that Bakshi, I forgot his name. That, he was at that time closer to CPM.
Sure.
And so I mentally prepared. I came to Kerala. What to do? Kerala, I started what to do. I said if I get a job, it will become a problem. So I did not take a job. I said I will start contract work. So I started some contract work.
Sure.
And so enough money I was getting for maintaining the family. And whatever little balance was there in the bank, and with that I wanted to publish some books. By that I had translated Star over China. I had
Oh, you translated.
I had completed the translation. So I said I should publish that thing. And there is Cultural Revolution in China, Joan Robinson. March to Mao by Thompson. So like that I had translated about 5-6 books. Life history of Ho Chi Minh. And a book on Vietnam, ongoing Vietnam Revolution.
Yeah.
And the Vietnam Revolution. By the time Vietnam Revolution had become successful in a way. So that history. So all these things I had translated. So I started a bookstore also. So I started a bookstore where I was in the town where we are staying.
Where?
Pala, near Kottayam.
Okay.
There is a town, Pala. So there, my wife had a house there. Her father gave a house there.
Sure.
So we were staying there, and so naturally I started a bookstall there, and Janata Bookstore. Then we thought about publication center, Mass Lane Publications.
Oh.
We started. And then I was very active, very vigorously moving around and meeting so many people, and some of old friends and other things. And with this discussion, these ideas came, and I started, gave the books for public printing. So first book came out, and by that time, so many developments have taken place in Kerala. So we'll come to that after a small break. We can take breakfast also.
Okay. Thank you.
By 1972, the Naxalbari movement had reached a very critical stage. The division within CPML started in 71, reached extreme proportions. Reached extreme proportions by 72 July, when Comrade Charvindar also passed away. The movement, while the CPML itself disintegrated into so many groups, the organizations which were not part of CPML also had divided into many groups. The whole ML spectrum gave a very disintegrated situation. So how to overcome it was the major challenge. How to overcome it was the major challenge. So, by the time the condition in the country also was becoming more serious, because though Indira Gandhi got the vast majority in the 1971 elections, following the so-called liberation of Bangladesh, very soon the economic problems came up seriously. There was slowdown of the economy, and there were many people's uprisings in different parts of the country, leading to an explosive situation, and big people's mobilizations, paralyzing the administration first in Gujarat, then in Bihar, and forcing Indira Gandhi to declare emergency when her parliament seat also was in danger. So in this situation, as far as the traditional communist forces are concerned, CP had gone behind CP Congress. Whatever movements were taking place against Indira Gandhi regime, they were calling as a fascist move, supported by US imperialism, and they were loyally supporting the Indira Gandhi government and its emergency declaration. Then the CPM is concerned, as far as CPM is concerned, though it took a stand opposing the emergency declaration, as Comrade Sundaraya explained in his resignation letter from the Politburo and General Secretaryship, the Politburo and the Central Committee were not prepared to take a offensive against the emergency declaration and to mobilize the people against it. In this situation, the splintered ML sections in different parts of the country took position, and many of them fought against the emergency declaration. Of course, some of them were influenced by the old position itself. But still, the resistance was there from only the communist revolutionary forces. Once again, there was suppression. Like the 62-72 suppression, once again there was suppression during the emergency. And everywhere, thousands of people were arrested and many comrades were killed. And so the movement was facing a very serious challenge at the time. So, in this scenario, when I reached Kerala in 72, what I saw was the CPML committee which was formed in Kerala had disintegrated. Under its leadership, certain annihilation campaigns were taken up. And Undikal Narayan on his own line, taking imperialism as a principal enemy, had tried to develop some struggles, and that also were suppressed. So all the people are in the jail, and some comrades outside the jail were trying to regroup the remaining people. And as I announced the publication of the Register over China in Malayalam, I could get the contacts of these people, and some of these people contacted in the bookstore, and I established contact with the few comrades who were working underground. So it was decided, for the time being I will be working in the open, and I insisted on that also, that I will be working in the open to take up the mass front activities. We can bring out a publication in Malayalam, and we can follow it with a publication in English to help the reorganization of the communist revolutionaries and bringing out important books in different languages. So it was accepted by the comrades who were they got formed a nucleus in Kerala, and so accordingly I went forward, collecting some funds from the friends and taking up this role. So first we brought out a monthly Malayalam comrade, and very soon Mass Line in English was published from Ernakulam. And we published altogether 25 books within 2 years. And by the end of 74, K. Venu also came out of the jail. And K. Venu was actually one of the leading comrades in the movement. Though he was not part of the committee, he was in the movement because he published a paper, Ingilab. In the name of Ingilab, he published a paper and few issues. for which he was arrested and he was undergoing the jail imprisonment. So he came out, and soon with him as secretary, the committee was reorganized, and our work has developed, and we brought out a cultural publication also. So some good penetration to different areas was taking place. At the same time, we started some mass activities also. There was a shipyard construction going on in Kochi. So we started organizing the workers. That was a good exposure, the open activity. Open activity under the leadership of the CR forces. It was a good exposure. And it was in that situation emergency was declared. So once the emergency was declared, all these activities were affected. Publication was also affected. And so they raided the press where we were publishing the, from where we are publishing the Comrade and Mass Line, and threatened them. So we had to stop the publication. By the time I had moved out, I had moved to back underground shelters. So I was not arrested, and we published the July issue, posted the July issue of Star and Mass Line, and I went underground. And at that time our understanding was, again, though we said that annihilation line is wrong, the Chinese path, slogan China's chairman and our chairman, China's path, our path is wrong. What is the line to be taken? There was still no clarity. But one thing was clear, what the line Satyanarayan Singh, Chandrapal Reddy and others were taking, just criticizing Charmindar and saying only mass line is not sufficient. We will have to take a analysis of the Indian situation, and according to the analysis of the Indian situation, we have to develop the Marxist understanding and develop our line. So that was general understanding. So once we were undergoing during the emergency time, we tried to take up some struggles. In one or two places, annihilation struggle was again, annihilation attempts were made. And some Dalmia was running a paper factory in Kerala. His office was attacked, and a police station was attacked. So similar, against the emergency, throw emergency to the Arabian Sea, with a slogan, we had started these different activities, and we brought out one paper in underground also. With what is at that time, that is the earlier system, that is the psychosite system. So we brought out a paper also, and with the slogan, throw out emergency to Arabian Sea. So, but within short time, they started arresting the people, and most of the people were arrested, and all the leading commoners were arrested, including me. We were in jail. Before that, when the emergency was declared, I had, after moving to the background, I also had become part of the Kerala State Committee of the CPML, which was reorganized. And all the Kerala State Committee comrades were in jail. And most of us, majority of us, came together in Kannur Central Jail. So we could contact each other, though we were not allowed to come out of the cells, except for taking bath and going to toilet. We could contact through different methods used in the jails, and we were communicating with each other. And some internal problems were resolved, and a unity was achieved among the comrades, including this M.N. Rauni and others who had gone to jail earlier as part of the annihilation campaign. There were some problems, all these problems were solved. So there was a unity among the CR forces within the Kannur Central Jail, and similar attempt was made in Trivandrum also. It was at that time Mao Zedong died, 76, September 9. So because we had established a secret contact through some jail wardens, we were getting necessary things from outside, and some comrades were actually giving important documents also through this contact to inside. So after Mao's death, what happened? We immediately got the information that the Politburo was called and the Mao's followers were arrested, and Hakofen put forward the three-well theory, and modernization drive was taken up. So, based on our earlier studies and articles and all, we came out with a statement from the jail. First we discussed in the jail committee, and a unanimous position was there that China has gone to the capitalism.
This is first you were taken.
Yes, we have taken that position within the jail itself. But still, though this position was taken, about the emergency and what is going to happen after the emergency, there was no clarity. Because we were still influenced by the sectarian line. We were thinking the emergency will not be withdrawn. So emergency will not be withdrawn, so we had to come out of jail. So we made an attempt to jump when we were taken for the court cases. Four of us, that is a lady, myself, K. Venu, T.N. Joy and Kuti Krishnan, we four people were taken for a conspiracy case. We were four were involved in a conspiracy case. We were taken to far away, the Kochi Sessions Court from Kannur in the night. So, on the way, by that time we were very familiar with the police people who were escorting us. So they were not putting the shackles on our hands. So we were discussing politics with them, so that way, and they knew that we are all intellectuals and other things, so we had a good relations with them. There were no shackles. So we collected little money from outside and kept the money secretly inside within our trust. And then when a particular place we had some idea, we asked for some time to urinate. So they stopped and we went for urination. And the idea was that we will jump, we will run and try to escape. That was a frantic effort. But unfortunately, where the vehicle stopped, there was a wall. So only those who can jump over the wall, you can. And myself, one comrade got excited and he did not move. Three comrades jumped over the wall and started running. But one comrade was immediately overpowered. And I was also overpowered within a few yards or 100 feet or so. And Venu also was. So all of us were arrested again. And we were taken to a lockup, nearby lockup. And we had a good beating because of this thing. And then we were moved to the condemned cell in the prison area, where the people who are given death punishment is put. And we had some struggles and other things. Anyway, so then within a short time, the emergency was withdrawn and the election was announced. So then we found that our assessment was correct, not correct. Our assessment of the bourgeois democratic system in India, our assessment of the ruling system, classes, and our assessment of the international situation and Indian situation, there were a lot of weaknesses. So we should take it up, everything anew. A basic understanding has to be developed. So it was the understanding. And we started the discussion that way. And once the emergency was revoked and the election took place, and the Janata Party, contrary to our expectation, Janata Party came to power, many of comrades, the MISA, comrades under MISA, they were released. We were all having so many cases, dozens of cases. So we were in the jail, others were released. So through these released comrades, we started reorganizing the committee outside. Then the question we took up was how to unite with other communist organizations. And we got some contacts through JNU and others. We got some contacts And through that context, the committee which was formed outside, we asked them to contact among all the groups who are working in India, we found the Bookstore group, that is, which later became CPM Liberation, nearest to us. Their assessment and their struggles we found nearest to us. So we arranged a contact with them, and then one delegation went to meet with them. The comments were also outside. And we had given them the understanding, the jail committee, we had given a statement to them that the prime importance should be given to the developments taking place at the international level. The China's degeneration to capitalist power. Only based on that we can go for unity. So that is a very serious question. Like Soviet Union, China was also degenerated to capitalist power. Without a correct understanding of this thing, communist movement cannot be reached. So our comrades went to Bihar, met the leaders there, and they were shown the squads and some activities and other things. So they were very much attracted. And then they started discussion. When the discussion, the leadership, CPM leadership said, liberation leadership said, China and other things, let us forget. Let us these things about India. So by seeing the squads and other things, probably at that time liberation had squads, armed squads. So our comrades were actually did not insist on that discussion as we had directed. They came back and said, it's good, we can go forward. Then what about China question? That is not important, yes. It is important. So it is very important. So we criticized the delegation, and then we again sent suggestions to the committee that another delegation should go and ask them about the international situation, what is their evaluation of the international situation about China. So the next delegation, when they went and insisted on this discussion, they said, we are not prepared to discuss it. China is a puzzle, we cannot discuss that question. We will take it up later. And so no unity with them was possible. By that time, we tried to bring the publication outside because of inexperience, our comrades could not do that. Then the committee, at that time our understanding was we will not take bail. We will not plead the cases in the court also. We will boycott the courts. That is right. So still, in that situation, the jail committee decided one comrade should go outside to bring out the publication and establish contacts from the outside. So, considering all the experience and other thing, I was selected to come outside, take bail, and take up this task. So naturally, with a lot of difficulty, 3-4 months, hard work and lot of spending, approaching many advocates and all. I had 13 cases, so we got bail on all the cases. And I came out, and as soon as I came out, we started some open activities. One thing, public meeting was organized in a town hall, and very good response was there. We started explaining about the death of Rajan and other comrades in the emergency. People were expecting such news. And all these details of the torture inside and how the killings were there, all these things we started speaking in the public meetings. So a lot of attraction was there. Many people started coming nearer, and we started developing the party and semi-UG level and a cultural front, People's Cultural Front. Janakiya Samskari. And lot of intellectuals who at that time the most important poets, writers all came to the cultural front. So in Kerala, a good effort was started at that time. And we started republishing Comrade and Mass Line. And then I started contacting others outside. we established contacts with CPML, People's War comrades, comrade Satyamurthy, and Satyamurthy sent some poems we published in the mass line, and Ramana Reddy, who was in charge of the cultural People's War Cultural Forum, ALRC. That Ramana Reddy was Kavali. KBR. So KBR started writing regularly in mass line, and so that way we tried, and I made certain 2-3 moves, travels outside also to make contact people, Bangalore, Chennai and other places to make contacts. And it is that at that time I went to meet Comrade Kodandravan also. And again he said, I am totally understood, so I will take you shelter, or you arrange a shelter. I said, I will arrange a room. It didn't be a shelter, a hotel room I will arrange. Then you take me. So I took a hotel room, I know Everest Hotel. I went to Chennai, took a room in Everest Hotel and started discussing, one full day discussion with Kodandravan. And by this time, other comments also started coming out. So I will come to the major ideological questions. Then we had a long discussion how to evaluate the new situation, how to develop the party life, how to analyze the reasons for the disintegration, how to reorganize the party. These were the questions. At that time, so many new developments were there. One is China's degeneration, and the new Chinese leadership by 1978, Deng Xiaoping came out openly and started the four modernization, started on the capitalist path very vigorously, free world theory, then by that time in 1978, Albania made a 180-degree reversal on his person. Enver Hoxha came out with a book saying that though I was supporting Mao Zedong always, supporting Chinese party, I had criticisms, and these are criticisms I wrote earlier, and so that criticism that China, Mao Zedong is basically a present revolutionary, not understanding the new international situation. Very vulgar attacks were made by Albanian party against Chinese party, and they said China was never socialist, and they took their position. So Chinese Albanian opportunism has come. What approach should be taken? Then the question within the country, after the emergency, many peasant movements started.
Yeah.
Sharad Joshi's movement in Maharashtra, Narayana Swami in Tamil Nadu, Nanjumta Swami in Karnataka, Punjab Kisan Union, then this Tikayat in Uttar Pradesh. All these movements were coming up, and big mobilizations were taking place, and many of these CPML groups, they started supporting. Can we discuss that question? How can we, by the time we started, we got some contacts in Maharashtra. I went to Maharashtra, and it was decided we reorganized the Kerala committee, and it was decided for the Kerala committee, I was given the responsibility to take up the reorganization of the All India level. So I will be not part of the Kerala activities, only all the activities. So I started moving out. So though I came out by bail, again I became almost like a UG. So I had to go, leave the family and go outside. So I went to Maharashtra, met many people, and including this Gandhi, Kopad Gandhi. But before I contacted Kopad Gandhi, he had formed his opinion and started moving very fast towards People's War. So I criticized, I had a long discussion with him, hot discussion, but he had taken a position, very mechanical position, that India is semi-colonial, semi-feudal itself. It is protected people's war will be the path. I said, you are analysis is wrong, then we put forward our analysis. By that time we had come to an understanding that in our discussion that this new class, the bourgeoisie, the bourgeois, agricultural bourgeoisie, the rich peasants, have come out of the land reforms, bourgeois land reforms from the above, developing into green revolution. It is in that process, as the imperialists wanted, a new class has emerged, which is actually using the capital and technology for green revolution, and all these things are helping the imperialists for their loot. So then, what about imperialism itself, we started discussion, and we came to understanding that after the Second World War, there were major changes in the imperialist system. Without understanding that, you will not be able to understand the collapse of Soviet Union, collapse of China, and the new phenomena like new forces coming out and the new economic policies followed by Indian government and others. And by that time, 1963, Great Debate documents, there was one small document, Apologies of Neocolonialism, by Chinese party. We studied that document, and we studied some of the documents on neocolonialism which came out under Khrushchev leadership. And there was a book by Nkrumah at that time, Neocolonialism in Africa. He was not a Marxist in this, but neocolonialism in Africa he had wrote. And many people are using the word neocolonialism. And what is neocolonialism? This question should be discussed. So we went to that study, and we revisited the developments in the Communist International, pre-Second World War situation, what happened during the Second World War and after following the Second World War. In this study, we came to the understanding that the preliminary understanding, that is, during Second World War, British imperialism, which was the hegemony power up to that time, got weakened. This US imperialism came to the leadership. And during the Second World War itself,